Welcome to Voice, where the voice tech industry gathers and spends time together. I'm here with Chandler, the CEO and co-founder of TalkGo, and you have your first product, the Talk Socket, which I got to see a really cool demo of last month at Project Voice in Florida. I see it right there on your phone. So for those that don't know about TalkGo, your company, or TalkSocket, your product, or yourself as an executive, I know you have a larger team with you here, but maybe you could introduce yourself and your company and we could have a bit of a conversation.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Chandler Murch. I'm the CEO, CTO, co-founder of TalkGo. And as you said, our first product is the Talk Socket. Simply put, it's getting the Alexa voice service embedded into a pop socket. So we are partnered with pop sockets. We're using some of their IP. If you're familiar, you see the little circles that spring out on the back of people's phones. That's a pop grip. So we license their IP so that we can attach to the back of phones and be used easily to allow Alexa and other voice assistants to be used. She just lit up when she heard her name. To be used hands-free anywhere you go. Probably should set that to mute, or we're live. So the current experience for people using voice
Lexi?
Assistants, like Aleha is another one.
I call her Lexi, so she doesn't talk back to me.
Is right now everyone is using them in the home. So in the United States, 74% of smart speakers are running Lexi. But when you get outside the home, only 17% of us are using her as a voice assistant on our phones. So it's dominated by, the mobile phones are dominated by Siri and Hey Google. Yep. So we wanted to enable that experience to be totally hands-free. No, looking for your phone to unlock, to find the app, to launch it, to start interacting. So that's kind of the main idea, is sort of bringing this technology to be used everywhere we go. Because during the pandemic, we've all been stuck at home with our smart speakers. Usage is quadrupled for Lexi during the pandemic. But now that people are leaving the homes, they've got their vaccinations or boosters, or just feeling more comfortable going out, they're not able to take that same hands-free user experience. So that's primarily what the Talk Socket is about.
So as an organization today, you have so much responsibility with a startup. Right, you're the co-founder, you're the CEO, but it sounds like you have the CTO role as well.
Yep.
And I've met some other people on your team, some that are here, some that were in Florida. So you have a team of innovators that are around you. How do you prioritize the product? Because it's a hardware product, but it's tied to software. It's familiar, people should understand it, but it's also different. So how are you going through the rhythms of figuring out how to explain this, and what are people how are they responding so far to the narrative that you're sharing?
It's a lot of work to juggle so many of those balls, right? As CEO of company, with partnerships and fundraising and so forth, and then CTO on the technology side, it helps that I see both things, because when it comes to talking about the technology, I'm there in every stand-up meeting with our developers, and we're talking about firmware, we're talking about our manufacturing and supply chain, and then I can take that experience back to the CEO side. So when I'm talking to our investors, or new investors or new partners, I can say, these are all the risks that we've eliminated, these are all the problems that we understand. And it's a lot, because you've got a spectrum of investors who they say, well, I use Siri on my phone, and that works pretty well, right? And I can say hello and do this. And we say that's great, because we're not about deciding which voice assistant is the winner or is the best. We have a platform here. This is a springboard. So we're going to market with Lexi, but there are other voice assistants we can integrate. We put a new wake word engine on here. In the future, we update our app support, and now you're supporting Google Assistant, or now you're supporting a Tesla voice assistant, or Facebook, and so on and so forth. So it's showing like there is a need right now, especially if you're a customer of Amazon, to have this frictionless experience. But there's new use cases all the time. And so I think an important part of us being at this conference, the Voice Summit here, is seeing that there are so many companies that are pushing voice and conversational AI, these things forward. We present a hardware conduit to that. So that's what kind of sets us apart from a lot of the other companies right now, but allows us to work with them and improve their experiences too.
Now, you've raised some money already as a company, so most of that was a pre-seed round,
That's right.
Family friend type of element. And now you're getting ready to open your seed round publicly. It's an interesting concept what Start Engine and other competitors of theirs have created for companies like yours with your C plus raise. So it's going to be $1,070,000, which is the max, which is a wonderful opportunity to let anybody, even non-accredited investors, be able to come to the table and participate. Almost like Kickstarter, but for equity, right?
Yep.
So can you talk a bit about why you would decide to do that and what your hope is in that campaign?
Sure. So part of our decision was just to be diversified, right? So we have private investors that we've been working with and angels from the University of Washington to Otter Products. And they're all accredited and have the experience, but we also have a lot of friends and family in our network that are not accredited investors, but they believe in what we're doing and they want to be able to contribute. And we said if we've got that much of an early grassroots effort from our friends and family, we could transform that into a platform like Start Engine. And Start Engine actually sought us out. They found our project on Kickstarter, thought it would be really good for the platform. And so it was a close relationship from the start to get this campaign launched. And, I really like that democratization of investment, right? Like this isn't a thing for, someone who has a net worth of $1 million to just put in a little bit of money in something that they believe in and then gather that en masse and, bring a product to market. It's really exciting.
Now, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful.
Yes.
From the Shark Tank.
Right.
He is the face of Start Engine right now. If you were to go on to Shark Tank, what would be your approach in being able to have this explained in a 3 or 5 minute segment? What would you want to be explained to the sharks? What would you want the TV audience to understand? What would you stay away from? And maybe what have you found have been distractions in the narrative and the message of what you have created and are creating?
Yeah, so I think we draw a lot of inspiration from Jamie Siminoff, the founder of Ring, who was famously on Shark Tank and did not walk away with a deal until Amazon bought Ring for $1 billion. Right. And so we've drawn a lot of parallels to ourselves in that company of hardware is hard and it is something that investors are not always confident in investing in, but we're working with a bunch of great partners, and that's what sets us apart from so many startups. That's what I would say is our biggest strength in front of the sharks or whomever is you don't see a lot of startups that are working with, companies like PopSockets and OtterBox and Amazon in a very friendly and supportive and synergistic way. Because you could point to, lack of, the supply chain, right? Everyone knows supply chain is a huge problem right now. We're not going into it blind. We're going into it with the strength of our manufacturers' knowledge, but also these established companies to say, watch out for this. Have you done this? What's your plan for this? And we have many plans in place, but it's good to have someone who's been there before to help us to guide it, the product. And so I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of other companies that will go, before the sharks, and the types of things we would want to transform. Or again, it's like, well, I have this voice assistant, or is voice really a big thing? And it's like, for everyone here, this is not, there's no question about this. We recognize that this is one of the fastest growing consumer technologies of all time. And it's just, we're very early, and that's, it is a lot of selling the vision of, this is an early thing, but it's going to be transformative, and it's going to be really important for how we interact with all of our devices.
So take me to the future. You're successful with Start Engine. You're fully capitalized. You get real traction. You start closing more strategic partnerships than OtterBox. You start having people get the product. It goes viral. Everybody wants it. And now you're oversubscribed, right? You can't keep up with the orders. Mm-hmm. And now you're thinking, what's next? Mm-hmm. So with success, regardless of how long that takes, but with success, where do you see your innovative team going when it comes to hardware, software, not just an exit? I know that's what you'll talk when you're in the fundraising mode is, hey, this is where we're going financially, but where are you going as innovators for the product? What vision do you have moving forward through this season or even past that next season? Yeah,
so I kind of teased it a little bit in using the word platform. We want to support multiple voice assistants, but we also want to go beyond that and say it doesn't matter which assistant you think you need to use or you've set up. We want to have that intelligence layer to say, you're asking about ordering something, and I know that most of your products are ordered on Amazon, and I'm going to direct the request that way. So it's about getting this foothold on the back of the phone to say we can enable all of these things that, I mean, to be fair to Apple and Samsung and Google and so on, is they're not incentivized. People aren't not buying their phones because they don't do these things that people haven't imagined yet. But we want to be a place to launch that, to springboard. So the innovation for us is to really open up the capabilities of our first launch. So it can be updated over the air, new firmware updates that allows us to support things like new voice assistants or new voice app integrations. But again, once we get people comfortable with the idea of having this on the back of their phone, there are new things. Obviously, the merging of hardware and software is super important for businesses these days, and that's what we want to open up, is whether it's subscription services or content that you can buy that's specific to the device. We have lots of plans around that. I don't want to reel too much right now, the secret stuff, but yeah, that's definitely what we're thinking, is like, how do we open up the back of the phone, or even if it's on a keychain, how do we open up these experiences to be hands-free?
So pulling back to the now, let's compare your product to my experience.
Okay.
So I have an iPhone 13 Plus. It's the most advanced phone that they have, right? So my experience, if I want to pull up Lexi, is I first have to unlock my phone. So that's experience number one.
Right.
Then I have to, one way or another, I have to get Alexa. So now I have to swipe down.
Right.
Now I have to type it in.
Assuming you don't have it right on the front homepage.
Okay.
I do like to be fair.
So that's true.
You could
so
be
I
right
could save
there.
some steps. Actually, I have one in a folder.
I like you taking the hardest way, though, to show how it works.
And in this case, I have to apparently sign in. I guess I haven't been in Alexa for a minute, which is strange because I thought I just used it. Anyways, the point is, it's 2, 3, 4 steps.
Yep.
Okay. So why don't you show how you're saving time? Because that's one of the big things currently. The platform of the future, exciting, but right this very second, you're saving people time by this software-hardware combination that is licensing pop sockets, intellectual property, and is partnering with OtterBox, and is partnering with Amazon. So why don't you show how you're a time saver immediately if somebody could get their hands on one of these?
Absolutely. And she's on the spot right now, so I make no claims of 100% reliability. This is still pre-production unit, but the concept is simply that you would say, Alexa, and that we would see wake up. That's a Wi-Fi problem, right? That's showing that the voice activation, the wake word activation, is coming from our device.
Yes.
It's sending that over to the app on the phone, the Amazon Lexi app, and then that is doubly confirming the wake word through the cloud and then processing whatever the command is.
Okay.
So that process, just as you saw, just say something, right? And that is our hope for kind of all of our products, or how we look at our company moving forward, is that it's reducing the number of steps, making the customer experience as easy as possible, starting with this voice assistant.
And the product that you create is the product that attaches to the OtterBox.
Yeah, so actually the OtterBox case is not a necessity. That's a great partnership. We actually took this idea to OtterBox first, and to put it into a case, right? And they said that's a really great idea, but you're gonna have to build one of these for every phone that's out there.
Right.
Like this
That's
gets
true.
expensive really quickly. If you can make it more universal, you'll have a broader audience, be able to go from phone to phone. And they said, do you think you can put it into the size of a pop grip? And we said, we think we could do that. And they said, well, at the time, this case from OtterBox had not been released. And it was built in partnership with PopSocket. So it has this little base. It's got a quick release connector right there. And that's what we've licensed, is this accordion and that quick release connector. So it can be on the back of...
And that's the licensing from PopSocket.
From PopSockets, that's right. And so
Which
that can be...
sold $300 million
Oh yeah,
2019, I believe.
There's been over 220 million pop grips sold since they started.
So probably well over $1 billion in sales. A global company transformed the way that we use our phone and the lack of dropping your phone. And the ability to have your phone propped up. So
exactly.
things.
Making it easier to hold. Making the phone more accessible.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're also a pop grip that lights up. So like that's cool. That's cool, right? But yeah, it's entirely in the sort of versatility, but you don't need to have the out-of-box case. That's just a sort of bonus for us.
So if you just have any pop socket attachment, then it'll attach to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I carry lots of phones. So you can see on this one, it's directly attached to the back of the iPhone. It's stuck there.
Okay.
Good to go.
And is it a Bluetooth connection?
Yes.
Okay, so you just would pull up your Bluetooth connections, you connect to your, now the product is called a Talk Socket.
Correct.
The company is TalkGo. Okay, got it. So as you're raising money in this next round on Start Engine, that company that they should be looking for when it's live is TalkGo. And the first product that you're releasing.
Yeah, I think we're advertising a Talk Socket because that was how we came into fruition, was this idea of we're the merging of a pop socket and Alexa, so Talk Socket. Right. But over time we saw that's limiting to us, right? Okay. That's tied to this other company. What we are really is this umbrella of talking products or products you talk to. So that's why TalkGo we formed later. The Talk Socket is our primary focus. We think it has, it's got an amazing brand behind it. We're not building, all of that from scratch either. And so that's what to look for is Talk Socket. You can find us online, talksocket.com. Get more information. We're still currently running an Indiegogo campaign, so you can get early, pricing on a unit.
And what's the pricing on Indiegogo?
Pricing is $80.
And then what's the retail price?
The retail price we're looking at $129.
Okay, so instead of $129, you can get it for $80-ish.
Yep.
Okay, so save $50 by going to Indiegogo.
Yep.
I've done some Indiegogo campaigns. Slava has built quite the empire, although I don't think he's there anymore. But and I've been to Kickstarter a bunch of times. I've done Start Engine campaigns with friends, and all these things. What they've done is remove the barrier between the entrepreneur and the prospective client or the prospective investor.
Right.
How about, are you open to a couple tough questions before we wrap up? Don't be overwhelmingly tough, but I was thinking to myself, if people are watching this live, what type of comments might people ask as well, what about this? So let me give you a couple that kind of come to mind. Somebody says, well, what if I make a Siri shortcut? So what's the response to an objection like that? I like how it's cool, I like how it lights up, it is useful, but why not have a Siri shortcut? So somebody says something like that, what's the thoughtful response to something of that nature?
So my response is that Apple has built a number of ways to do certain things that put a lot of onus on the consumer, right? It's create a shortcut, it's go in, understand how to do that. I know a lot of iPhone users. I don't know how many of them even know that a shortcut exists on their phone or how you would set something up for it. And that's not a knock against them, it's just how they've built their system. Whereas something like what Amazon has built is you don't need to know that. I mean, even Amazon has moved, in my opinion, away from the skills creation, right? Of just making things inbuilt or integrating it in such a way that it's seamless. So yeah, it's we don't want the customer to do more work, we want them to do less work.
Yeah. And also, if they were to not say okay, and they wanted to create a shortcut, you still have to say, hey, yes, shortcut. So it still is multiple voice commands compared.
Multiple
so
steps,
also
right? And the market penetration for the Apple Home products, their speakers is less than 20%, so, and they're kind of pulling back on that, and Amazon is only doubling down and pushing forward. So in a way, we're friendly competitors with Amazon. We're doing something very similar to their products, but we're really, it's about bringing more people into the ecosystem.
Right. Okay, other potential, people are going to have all kinds of questions, but let me throw another one out, and I think this one's easy to answer. Bluetooth. Somebody says, well, can I have my AirPods connected and also have this connected at the same time?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. One of the the sort of hidden bonus features of the TalkSocket is that we kind of upgrade the devices that you already have.
Okay.
So when you're talking to Aleha through the TalkSocket, you're going to get the response in your AirPods or in your wireless Bluetooth speaker or in your car's audio system.
Got it.
So we actually complement those devices that you already have.
Oh, that's a cool response to that question. Smart. Okay, let's wrap it up.
Sure.
So for the wrap, Start Engine's about to go live. You're raising $1,070,000 from non-accredited investors. Anybody can jump in and participate at a very low dollar amount. And the valuation, I think you said, is $7.5 million.
Yep.
So this is your second fundraising round. You already have a product that's ready to go to market. You've actually sold some product. If somebody wants one, they can go to Indiegogo. Other call to actions, other final words you'd like to give our audience?
Yeah, I think you've hit every single one there for me. You did my job for me. Yeah, check us out on talksocket.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are looking for development resources too. I should throw that out there. So not just capital, but we're looking for engineers that especially understand acoustics and embedded systems and that sort of thing. So,
do you have job openings on LinkedIn?
Not yet. This is just something we're like, we need this, and I'm going to use the opportunity.
So if somebody would be interested in applying, how can they contact you? Have a LinkedIn,
contact at
talksocket.com
would be the best. Just email us straight away.
If you're interested in this product, you're an engineer, I want to work as a contractor, W-2 employee, either is optional?
Yep.
Okay, so you're like, I want to be independent, I want to be dependent. You want to be dependent? Then you can contact at talksocket.com. Anything else?
No, thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity.
That was great. Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye everybody. We'll be back again very soon.